Hey there, everybody. Glad to be here. My name is Katie, and I'm going to be singing to you live from Dragonfly Yoga Barn in Little North Sandwich, New Hampshire. And I'm incredibly grateful to be here, thankful that my dear friend John asked me to sing a few songs for you this evening. And I hope it brings us some light and some love and just helps us to join in some positive energy that we really need for each other and for this planet. So again, just really grateful to be here tonight. So I'm going to sing 3 songs. My set is called prayer songs, and so you can interpret that any way that you wish. I feel like our prayers come from our heart, and just like balloons, they float right out of our chest, right out of our heart, and out into the world and up into the ether. So we can allow our love to be like that, just to spread from ourselves out and let this rippling effect of what John has created here and what all of us have come together to do to just to raise the vibration of the planet. The first song that I'm going to sing is by a lovely lady named Kate Wolf from California, who during her life was a prolific songwriter. And I see this as an invocation. It's a song of connection. It's a way for us to join our energy. And it's really about the vibration of love. Kind friends all gathered round, there's something I would say. What brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I was up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, but I never did know how. Like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire, it's planted like a seed. Love can't give us everything, but it gives us what we need. Love comes when we're ready, it comes though we're afraid. It can be the greatest teacher and the best friend you have made. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and the laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. The next song that I'm going to sing is one that I know most of you probably know well and have heard it sung in various different ways, and I just want to talk about it for one moment. It's a chant, it's call and response, and I know you will know exactly when to join in. It's Ramadasa Sa Se So Hung, and I'm going to sing my own melody in the song, and I've added some English words to help translate. But really the meaning of this chant is to raise our energy. It's about connecting to sun, moon, earth, and infinity, and how we can gather the energy of these, the planets and the cosmos and the earth that we stand on, and how we can pull that energy into ourselves. And then we really understand that the cosmos is in us. It's in our being, and we can honor the divine right here in our own hearts, the all-encompassing thou. You can call it God or whatever you want to call it, but it is. Blessed be. It is, and it's in us. And it's this energy that can help us to change our planet and to heal the things that need to be healed, to raise our vibration. So this goes out to all the first responders, to everyone on the front lines, to anyone who is suffering, and to all of us to kind of, hold the line and support those who need us while we can offer our love and our support. And if you have an instrument and you want to play along, super simple chords, easy progression, and I'd love for you to sing too. Ramadasa sa se so Ramadasa sa se so Ramadasa sa se so Ramadasa sa se so. Sun and moon, earth to give me roots. Infinity rises upwards and outwards. Sun and moon, earth grounds me in the roots. Energy of creation within and around me. Ramadasa sa se so. Sing with me. Ramadasa sa se so. Ramadasa sa se so. Ramadasa sa se so. Sun and moon, earth to give me roots. Infinity rises upwards and outwards. Sun and moon, earth grounds me in my roots. Energy of creation within and around me. Sun and moon, earth to give me roots. Infinity rises upwards and outwards. The sun and moon, earth grounds me in my roots. Energy of creation within and around me. Ramadasa sa se so. Rama Dasa Sa Se Soham Rama Dasa Sa Se Sun and moon, earth to give roots. Infinity rises upwards and outwards. Sun and moon, earth to give me roots. Energy of creation within and around me. The sun and moon, earth to give me roots. Energy of creation within and around me. Sing Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham. Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham Ramadasa Sa Se Soham. Thank you for listening and singing. Hope you were singing out there. And I'm going to sing one more song for you. And this song is it's about Mother Mary. And it's really, I think it's a song about the divine feminine. And sometimes we lose touch with the divine feminine, you know. Men and women have the divine feminine, the same way that women have divine masculine. We are meant to walk this earth together in balance, all of us as a collective human family. And so I just want this song to celebrate womanhood, motherhood, Mother Earth, feminine energy. I really feel like that's what's going to bring this planet back into balance. So I just want to thank you again for listening tonight and sharing some music with me. This last song is a Patty Griffin tune, and again, one of my all-time favorite musicians, singers, and songwriters. Mary, you're covered in roses, you're covered in ashes, you're covered in rain, you're covered in babies, you're covered in slashes, you're covered in wilderness, you're covered in stains. You cast aside the sheets, you cast aside the shroud of another man who served the world proud. You grieve another son, you lose another one on some sunny day, but always you stay, Mary. Jesus said, Mother, I couldn't stay another day longer. Flies right by and leaves a kiss upon her face, while the angels were singing us praises in a blaze of glory. Mary stays behind the stars to clean up the place. Oh, Mary, she moves behind me. She leaves her fingerprints everywhere. Every time the snow drips, every wave the sand shifts, even when the night lifts, she's always there. Jesus said, Mother, I couldn't stay another day longer. Flies right by and leaves a kiss upon her face, while the angels were singing us praises in a blaze of glory. Mary stays behind the stars, cleaning up the place. Oh, Mary, you're covered in roses, you're covered in romance, you're covered in secrets, you're covered in treetops, you're covered in birds who can sing a million songs without any words. You cast aside the sheets, you cast aside the shroud of another man. Serve the world proud. You grieve another son, you lose another one on some sunny day, but always you stay. Always you stay, Mary. Mary. La 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 Mary. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for sharing music. Thank you to my dear friend John, who is making all of this possible, and for all the beautiful, wonderful musicians and yogis and speakers. And may this help heal our planet and support us through all of this. So again, thank you.
Oh my God. Whew. I cried a few times during Katie's set. It's just her voice. It just does that. Like you can imagine, okay, Katie and I plan to lead an Ayurvedic trip to India for a 3-week Panchakarma to bring people over to India for a 3-week Panchakarma. And I did not know she was a singer. And we got to India and she started singing. Can you imagine? I was like, what? And then this last year, we gathered around the fire and she started singing that song, Mary. And I was just like, it's just incredible. So, Katie, thank you for sharing those songs with us. It's beautiful. And also like to thank Jillian Pransky for her beautiful restorative set. Set. I don't know. Do you call a yoga class a set? I guess you don't call a yoga class a set. For her beautiful class. Before that, and we want to thank all the presenters. All of these presenters are doing this out of the generosity of their hearts, and for this time, for all of us, for this community, as well as for all of the people that Lucy's Love Bus serves, which we're going to learn a lot more about shortly. It's really my pleasure and honor to introduce our next guest, who's a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a long time, but I can see her there in the camera. And she was a teacher of mine when I took an Ayurvedic course at Kripalu, year-long Ayurvedic course at Kripalu years ago. And she's a fabulous teacher. And we got so fortunate through something very serendipitous to communicate and in the past few weeks. And she has volunteered to come on to BlessFest and share the wisdom of Ayurveda and how it can help us during this pandemic time. Ayurveda is super cool, and it's amazing for restoring our nervous system and our health and well-being. And it's just a brilliant, brilliant artistic and scientific medicine. And I can think of no better person than Claudia Welch. I'm just going to read, okay, off of this, because she has some stuff here that I did not set to memory, but she's just an awesome individual. Dear Dr. Claudia Welch has been a lifelong student of medicine, an Ayurvedic practitioner and educator, and is licensed as a doctor of Oriental medicine and an author of several books, including Balance Your Hormones, Balance Your Life, Achieving Optimum Health and Wellness Through Ayurveda, Chinese Medicine and Western Science, and the 4 qualities of effective effective physicians, practical Ayurvedic wisdom for modern physicians. She lectures internationally on Oriental and Ayurvedic medicine, exploring new ideas in Eastern medicine and how it applies to women's health in today's reality in general. She has served on the teaching boards of many of the primary schools of Ayurveda across the United States. And I know she's a dear student of the amazing teacher and practitioner, Robert Spavoda. So we're really honored to have her. And she just happens, this is part of the serendipitous thing, she happens to be best childhood friends with Beecher Gogan, who is the CEO and director of Lucy's Love Bus. And that's kind of how Claudia and I reconnected. So after Claudia tells us how to survive and get through this pandemic and how we can strengthen our immune system, I imagine, to survive during these challenging times, her and Beecher are going to jump on at the same time and share some of their love for Lucy's Love Bus and how it started. And because Claudia was there really at the very beginning, I think she's the one who first gave acupuncture to Lucy years ago. So I'm really excited to have both of these women on here together. So let's welcome Claudia Welch.
Through things, I'm reminded to, looks like I just got unmuted. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here with you. And we have 5 minutes together before Beecher comes on to talk about Ayurveda's perspective on epidemics and how to survive them and how they got here, which we could talk about for a week. So I'm at a little bit of a loss of how to fit this into 5 minutes. But one of the things that I've found very, very, very important in life is to
Claudia, please take your full allotted time for sure. We're gonna go over. It's much more important for people to hear what you have to say than to stay on a clock. So is that okay?
Yeah, let Beecher know that too.
Sure thing. I'll call her right now.
Okay. All right, well then let's take a minute, and I'm sure that you've all had amazing experiences with all the previous speakers and presenters. So let's just take a minute and get a little bit into love and focus here. And I want to hum something once after a minute of silence that I really love. I'll just hum it for a few minutes, and you can hum along with it. It's just a little piece from the Estonian wonderful artist Triinu Taul, who is really connected to nature, and that's a big part of how we got away. Being connected to nature is how we can get back to a place of balance, so that epidemics like we're seeing now are less likely to happen. So let's just arrive for a minute. All right, everybody. I expect you've had a couple of days of amazing presentations. So let's just look a little bit. This is story time. Are you sitting comfortably? This is one of my favorite books. It's Charaka Samhita. It's one of the ancient classics of Ayurveda. And I want to bring us back to the first age. We're currently in the fourth age. There's four ages according to different Indian traditions. Each one is successively crummier. So I want to bring us back to the first age, which was not at all crummy, and it has to do with well-formed buttocks. So here's what it is, among other things. In early times, so this book, by the way, is like from 500 AD, something like that. In early times, No undesirable consequence arose except from unrighteousness, the same as today. During the initial yuga, the golden age, the first age, people were having prowess like the sons of Aditi, the gods, exceedingly pure and with vast influence, having perceived the gods, godly sages, virtue, religious sacrifice, and method of their performance, with the body compact and stable like the essence of mountains, and complexion and sense organs clear, having strength, speed, and valor like the wind, with well-formed buttocks, endowed with appropriate measurement, size, physiognomy, cheerfulness, and corpulence. They were devoted to truthfulness, straightforwardness, uncruelty, charity, control of the senses, observance of rules, penance, fasting, celibacy, and vows, devoid of fear, attachment, aversion, confusion. Imagine being devoid of fear and confusion, right? Devoid of greed, anger, grief, conceit, illness, sleep, drowsiness, devoid of fear, exhaustion, lassitude, and attachment, and we're having immeasurable lifespan. For those, and this is important, for those having exalted mind, qualities, and actions, their crops grew endowed with inconceivable rasa, virya, vipak, prabhav, and other properties. What this means is that those people who were well endowed with morality, let's say as a nutshell, their crops were amazing. Their crops, the rasa, virya, vipak, prabhav, and qualities of their crops, which is to say the potency, the virility, the vitality, and the qualities of their crops were very strong. And then what happened, and this is so amazing, they list the qualities that started to disintegrate in people. So in that golden age itself, due to over receiving, right now I think we have the opposite. We're overextending ourselves, but at that time we were over receiving. And so there arose heaviness in the body of these wealthy persons, and heaviness of the body led to fatigue and lassitude and attachment and greed in successive order. So greed was entered into that end stage of the first yuga, the first age. And then in the second yuga, the second age, greed gave rise to malice, speaking lies, passion, anger, conceit, dislike, roughness, violence, fear, infliction, grief, anxiety, excitement, successively. Then things disintegrated even further. And during each, he says here, in yuga after yuga, a quarter of righteousness is reduced in this order, along with similar reduction in qualities of living beings, finally leading to dissolution of the universe. So it's a grim picture, I know, but how does this happen? How do crops, why does that play into epidemics? There's four qualities, there's four ingredients that this chapter from Vimanasthana, chapter 3 from Charaka Samhita, there's four qualities, four properties that have to be in place in order for epidemics. One is, and I'll read you exactly what he says here, but these common factors are vayu, which is the, you could say air, but it's more than that. It's also the prana, the life force, water, something called place, which includes the earth. It includes the quality of the earth, and time. And time in this context, it's brilliant how he goes into it. Time includes things like climate change and what's happening with the seasons. So if these four factors are disturbed, then we have a terrain that's hospitable to epidemics. So again, vayu, this life force, and wind and weather can all play into that. And water, which is, we know, is polluted, and the earth, which is polluted, and time, which includes climate change, which we have. And all of these things, he says, get polluted more and more with each age. And it begins with unrighteousness. And if we think about unrighteousness leading to greed in that, even in at the end, at the beginning of the first age, and we look at how that could possibly apply to crops, it really is not much. We don't have to look much further than the concept of evolution. If we believe in the concept of evolution, then we have to believe that if we are treating our planet, our animals, our plants with disrespect, with violence, with greed, then they will have no choice but to evolve to become less hospitable to us. And in fact, not only less hospitable, but perhaps even poisonous. We see this happening on a regular basis with plants, even very quickly, where, for example, with acacia trees, if a deer is munching on the leaves of an acacia tree, that acacia tree will immediately secrete chemicals that make its leaves more bitter and less hospitable to other deer in the neighborhood. And not only that, the tree communicates with its neighbors and says, hey, there's a threat in the neighborhood, change your chemistry. And the plants do that. So the plants become less hospitable to what is attacking them. And when we do things like we have monocrops and wet markets with animals on top of each other and huge single crops that really we wouldn't be having, in the name of greed, in the name of satiating our appetites, we have to expect something like this, right? So how do we address this? Well, the first thing he says is, if you find yourself in an epidemic, then the first thing you do is preventative care, preventative medicine. We have something called dinacharya, a healthy daily routine in Ayurveda. And this, you can Google healthy daily routine, but basically if we wake up and we have some quiet time and we connect to ourselves and we have some meditation and we clean our senses, we wash our eyes, we wash our ears, we wash our mouth, we oil our skin. If we cleanse our orifices, which are the entryway to the mind, they feed our mind, they feed our perception, they feed how we think about things, and therefore how we perceive things, right, through our senses. It affects our relationship with what we're seeing and what we're perceiving, which is the world around us, and it purifies that to some degree. So, and it calms our own vayu, it calms our own life force, it calms our own rhythms, and it connects us to the rhythms of the earth. So when we have this healthy daily routine, that's one part of preventative care. Another part is whole, freshly cooked foods, in eating them in a relaxed way so that we can digest the food that we're eating. We don't eat more than we need so that we're not taking more than we need, so that we're actually digesting it and it's actually giving us strength. These kind of very basic things. This is the first thing that Charaka talks about in terms of being able to withstand an epidemic. So preventative care, first thing. There's so much we could say about this, but that's the first thing. Then he does talk about some remedies that we can use, but he doesn't get specific at all about them. He says we can use the remedies that Ayurveda teaches us about, but he also tells us that the remedies that we're using are going to become distorted because the qualities of the plants themselves are becoming distorted. Because like mentioned earlier, the very qualities of the plants, along with the qualities of the human beings and the way, and our morals, if I may, if it's, and that's not so, we have such a Judeo-Christian kind of heavy thing around that. But the idea is that our morality is, as it decreases, the quality of the plants decreases. And so then we're not getting what we need from our food. And our medicines come from from the plants, and they come from the animals, and the qualities have become distorted. So we can't even rely on that so much. So pretty bleak picture. But there's this passage that I just absolutely love. So after he gives just one sentence, basically, to saying, hey, we use preventative measures that Ayurveda gives us, and their remedies and their detoxification techniques and their rasayana, their rejuvenation techniques, and he doesn't go into detail, but if we use those, that's a good start. And then this is what he says, and I love this so much. Then he says, truthfulness, benevolence, charity, offerings, worship of gods, observance of nobles' conduct, calmness, self-protection, which could include social distancing and masks and that kind of thing, residence in healthy places, observance of celibacy, and company of those who are observing celibacy, discourse of religious scriptures, which really means truth. Discourse is about truth, like not unlike we're having now. Narratives of self-controlled great sages, so stories of saints. Constant company with religious, pure people and those regarded as the elders. So keeping good company. This is the management for the protection of life for those whose death is not certain during that difficult period. In other words, if it's not your destiny to die during an epidemic, the best way, along with the regular stuff, go to an Ayurvedic, since we don't have time to go into what all that means, just find a nice Ayurvedic counselor and see what we can be doing for preventative medicine. So if we have that under our belts and we can do that, then the best thing we can do is to keep good company. And to be good company for each other, this is great medicine. This is really, medicine is not only plants, and it's not only animal parts like bone broth and things like this that are strengthening, right? But it's each other. We each have an impact on each other. We each, when we interact with each other human beings, animals, plants, we each have either a medicinal, a neutral, or a poisonous effect on each other, on another person, on the plants, on our environment. And we can learn to cultivate ourselves as medicine. That helps not only us, but it helps our fellow human beings and plants and animals and environment. So this is I think a take-home message. And I don't know if Beecher's here, but we're gonna start having Beecher here soon in a minute. Oh, there you are, Beech. So I guess that's really, we could talk about this for a week, but to me, we are each other's medicine. And it's really my great joy to be here with Beecher and to be here with all of you in memory of Lucy and in support of all the children who are living their own nightmares and right now, and their families who are living their own nightmares on top of this epidemic. And to be able to be even just a little bit of medicine for these people. It's medicine not only for them, but for us. We all are medicine for each other, or neutral or poisonous, and we're taking the opportunity to be medicine for each other now. And I love Beecher so much. I love Beecher so very much, and I can't believe I get to be here in support of this.
Claudia, you weren't supposed to make me cry. I think we're going to have a split screen. Can you hear me, Claude?
Yeah.
Okay. So what an incredible joy to be here with you, Claudia, for our worlds to collide like this in this beautiful way. We didn't discuss what we were going to talk about, but I'm going to spring a couple things on you. Two things. three things that you gave me since Lou was sick. The first one is, I don't know if you remember when Lucy had relapsed and she was 10. So this was 2005 in January, probably, or soon after. You came down to visit and you offered to do acupuncture for Lucy, and she resisted.
When she was in the hospital?
Yes.
So before you go further, can I tell a Lucy story?
Please do.
So everybody, Lucy, you know, I don't even think of her as a child, although of course she was a child, but she was such a soul. I mean, such a soul. And I was living in New Mexico at that time, and Beecher and Lucy were in Massachusetts. And I didn't get to spend much time with Lucy in her life. A little bit when she was a baby, and she came to my wedding, and I remember that, and a few other times. But the last time I saw her was this time, I think, that Beecher's talking about at the hospital when she relapsed. I think this was the last time I saw her, and she was hooked up to everything. I mean, hooked up to everything. And when I left, she insisted on getting up and walking me to the elevator. And her face, there was no self-pity in her face. I'm sure she had those moments, oh my God, but what a soul. So I don't know, it's such a small thing, but I got in that elevator and fell apart, because for her to give something when she had nothing, it was amazing. So I remember that visit, at least that part of that visit. I don't remember too much about it, but.
Yes. So that visit was so instrumental to Lou, and also to the creation of Love Bus, because Lou had tried so many different integrative therapies, but had really resisted acupuncture because she had leukemia and was poked with needles constantly. So you came to visit. I remember which room you were in. I remember everything. And Lou resisted. And you said, how about if I do it to Mom? And I want you to know, I'm sorry, everyone. We're just going to cry this whole time, but I hope everyone feels the beauty and the love of it. He said, how about if I do it to Mom? And you look in Mama's eyes while I'm doing it, and you'll see if it hurts her by looking in her eyes. And so we did that. And Lou saw me not flinch, not scream out in pain. Although, because you and I, when you did it the first time, I screamed bloody murder as if it really hurt, just because we had to mess with her, because that's who she was. So I screamed, and then I was like, wait, no, I'm just kidding. So she looked in my eye. She saw it didn't hurt at all. And she tried it for the first time and then was really hooked. And so
Did she try it that day?
With you.
Uh-huh.
Let you do it to her, because she saw that it didn't hurt me. And so that trick.
I don't remember that. That's so precious.
I use that every day at work with families, saying, because I recommend acupuncture all the time for all of our kids when we're doing our normal programs and we're not in COVID nightmare world. And parents say, oh, no, she won't do it. He won't do it. And I say, well, you can start with acupressure, but here's the secret, is let them do it to you. Have your child gaze into your eyes and have the practitioner say when they're putting the needle in, so that the child can see in their parents' eyes. You can see pain, right? And it every time it works, they then will try it. So that is a beautiful tool that you gave me. Another one that you might be able to, I want to share it and then you speak to it, because I don't know the magic behind it. I think you do. You came to visit me on Plum Island after my marriage had ended, and I was living out there in complete isolation.
And this was after Lou passed, right?
After Lou passed, I'd say it was 6 months after she died. I was in total isolation, worse than COVID isolation, because I had really self-isolated as a means of grieving, and was just there with my child, my two kids. And you came to see me when the kids were with their dads, and I was really a wreck, just so broken and beyond, just so devastated with grief and just completely lost. And you had me lie down on the floor in the living room. I want to know if you remember this. You made a cozy bed out of quilts and stuff, and you laid me down on the floor, and you slid one hand under my heart, and then you put the other hand over my heart. And for the first time since Lou died, I felt contained. I think I had felt so untethered for so long. And that simple action, and then you just very gently sort of rocked your hands. And I felt whole for the very first time since Lou died. It was just the most beautiful thing. And I've done it to so many people. And I am not trained in anything except end-of-life doula work. But it's been so profoundly helpful to so many children and parents and grieving people, just, strangers. I do it to everybody, kind of. I give them a little warning before I leap on them and start doing this. But it is such an incredibly profound, healing, loving gesture. And I'm curious about what prompted you to do that. You might not remember it, but is that something you use quite a bit? Because I think for everyone out there right now, when we do feel so untethered and disconnected from our day-to-day lives, this grounding we can do for one another. And if you're alone, you could probably do it with like a heated stones or something like that. But I want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I think there's something sort of bigger than like what that was. I mean, I think there is something about the heart and the back that it's super comforting. That's really comforting. I mean, the heart, for anybody out there who is a student of Ayurveda, the heart is the root of pranavahasrotas, rasavahasrotas, and the manovahasrotas, which is, it's the heart is the root of the channel systems of the nourishing fluid in the body, of the life force in the body, and of the mind. And so supporting the heart, holding the heart, that, nobody taught me that, but that just feels like it has an immediate effect on the body and the mind to me. But something even bigger than that is, everybody, I don't have children, and Beecher has 3 children, one who passed, Lucy. And when a parent is losing a child, for me, as a friend of Beecher, how could I possibly relate to her pain? I don't even have live children, much less one that has died, and what that has gone through. And I think it's really easy to distance ourselves from each other by saying, this is too scary and big what you're going through. There's nothing I can do to understand that. There's nothing, which is 100% true, and it's distancing. And I want to share with everybody something with you, Beecher, where you never said, even though it's completely true that I will never know your moment to moment pain, you never pushed me out and said, don't come in here. You welcomed me in. And all I needed to be able to do, even without children, without that same experience, was be willing to stand there with you for a few minutes of your life. And being willing to do that and not separating myself by fear and saying, I can't possibly walk in there with you. I can't possibly be there with you. And so I don't know what to do. Like, nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to say. I remember one time you saying that the only thing that was helpful for you to hear sometimes was, I'm sorry for your loss. I have another friend who lost her daughter, who that was the one thing she couldn't hear. And so to me, it's a careful stepping into the waterfall of pain with someone, being willing to do that. And so it's being willing to connect to my heart and to yours. And I think we think somebody won't let us in, but you never kept me out, and my other friend didn't either. And I think there's something profound about that. And as horrible as the loss is, there's something with 2 people being willing to just be with that is deeply profound and more real than almost anything else we encounter in our day-to-day lives. Do you feel that?
Yeah, and Claude, it's interesting because most people run for the hills. So I'm smiling inside when you say that I didn't shut you out. I was desperately lonely. Losing a child is incredibly lonely. It's very alienating because if people do have a child, it is their very worst fear. And so I became this people's very worst fear walking around and just looking at me, touching me, seeing me. I lost so many friends, so many dear friends through loss. And it's okay. It took a while to realize it's okay. I was so hurt for a while, but it's okay. They're on a different path. And then through Love Bus and through just the universe, I've met thousands of other new friends who can handle it. So I think, it brings up an important point. I mean, if COVID has killed 87,000 people or so by now, I'm assuming that many people who are watching this and participating in this have lost people. And so there's loved ones behind, and I think I wasn't even intending to go down this path, but I think it's really important to talk about and think about that. You do want to be the Claudias of the world. You want to be the people who can bear witness, who can sit in that incredible suffering and pain and just bear witness, hold space, be love. There's nothing anyone can do or say, absolutely nothing, except maybe hold that heart. That helps, right? But everyone wants to help, and they say things like, at least she was old, at least you're young, you can have more kids, all those at least. It's basically the best advice I can ever give to anyone who's in the presence of someone who is grieving is basically shut up. Just be quiet, like just hold space and offer love. That's all you can do. And I just so grateful. You were one of the very few friends who was able to be there through the illness, be there through the worst of the grieving. Lou's been gone 12 years. She lived 12 years. I'll be 13 in July. And you're someone who can still be here when it hits, which it always will and always does. But so for anyone out there grieving or being near someone who's grieving, just try to remember your presence is so incredibly important. It is the loneliest thing in the world to be grieving, because no one else was Lucy's mom. No one. And I remember wishing back then that I could clone myself. I think Lord knows the world, one of me is enough. But back then I remember thinking I desperately need another Beecher. And what I would have done is just sat on the couch with her and hugged her and cried our heads off together. And unfortunately we can't do that. But being a friend who can just sit and listen it's life-saving, literally life-saving. So that was the second thing you did for me. The third one, Lucy's death, unfortunately, was incredibly painful. It was very sudden. It was unexpected. People have a hard time with that concept that a death can be unexpected when a child's been fighting cancer for 4 years, but she was very stable. And then like that, very unstable, and died over a period of 2.5 hours. And she was in excruciating pain the whole time. It was PTSD inducing for everyone who was there. My little sister was there, the staff that was there. It was really horrifying. And I really struggled with how painful her death was. That why would a child, this beautiful soul, why would she have to go through all the suffering of cancer and treatment? And at the end, why, if anyone deserved a peaceful end, it was Lou, right? I mean, for who she was and what a caregiver she was, if there's such a thing as deserving, she did. And it was so painful that that's how her life ended. And I really struggled with that. And I still do, but you told me that your guru said, what's your guru's name?
Ajaib Singh.
That he said that that a soul, a spirit leaving the body is similar to a piece of silk being taken off a thorn bush. And if it's a slow, gradual death, you can slowly, gradually pull the silk off the thorns. But when it's a fast death, it's like that silk is ripped off and it's painful. And that was so helpful to me. Even though, it doesn't change that it was painful, it just helped me sort of understand it in a different way, I guess. and know that Lucy is okay. Oh, wait, there's a fourth thing. The fourth one is that your guru told you that we come into this world with a certain number of breaths. This was the most profoundly helpful of all of them. Number 4 was that nothing I did, as a parent, we tend to blame ourselves for the death of a child, even if it's cancer. I would go back through my whole life. What if I didn't do this? What if I didn't do that? And you just said, that your guru told you that we come in with a certain number of breaths, and nothing we do gives us one more or one less. That was a game changer for me. It helped me let go of so much pain and so much blame and so much doubt. So we've never talked about this, and I think it's really lovely we're talking about it here. Do you need to go, Claude? I know you were supposed to leave at 7:45 and it's 7:51.
I'm all right. I'm all right. I think it's just so you to be talking about what I've done for you when what this is all about is what you've done for so many children and so many families. I just so I feel like to turn it over to you now to talk about the rest of what you need to talk about. And I'll stay right here if you'd like.
I'd love for you to stay there if it's okay with the powers that be behind the scenes. The last few things I wanted to talk about were, one, the importance of the fundraising piece here. Yesterday, I shared a story about a little girl who had a brain tumor at 2 and was relapsed at 7 and is going through treatment now, and just the devastation on the family. So rather than tell individual stories, I think I just want to share the overall sense of what I'm hearing from the social workers that are calling us every day, telling us about different families and different needs. We have lots of immigrant families, people who've come here from Egypt, people who've come here from Iran, people who've come from all over the world for treatment in the United States. So obviously these poor folks have no family network, right? They have no social network. They have nobody. They're here with nothing. And there's a wonderful mama who gave me permission to share her name. Her name is Joy. And she's a little boy who has rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a very, very aggressive form of cancer. And unfortunately it relapsed. So they came back from Nigeria and they're here in treatment again, living in sort of a kind of like a Ronald McDonald house in Massachusetts. And she has nobody. She's got absolutely nobody, right? So one of the things we do at Love Bus, in addition to the funding, right? So we're helping this mother with groceries. We're helping her with anything she needs. We're paying for fuel for the car that she's borrowing. But the most important thing I'm giving her, if you search our website, you don't see it anywhere. But ironically, it's like the most important thing we do is that bear witnessing thing, Claude. This mom now has my personal cell number. She can call me, she can text me anytime, day or night, and I will be here. She has a sister. We decided we're sisters. She's my Nigerian sister. She's just such a love, and just being able to talk to another mom. She has no friends here. She has no family here. So we decided, okay, we're sisters, and it works because I know her path. And she's very, very brave, because often mamas don't want to talk to me. And I completely understand it, because we have this fear that childhood death and cancer it's contagious. I remember when Lou was sick, I had zero interest in talking to someone if their kid died. I was like, I'm not going there. It is not happening, right? You think you can outfox it. You can't, but you wish you could. And this mom was just so courageous to get on the phone with me and just connect so deeply. So, the importance of Love Bus, obviously right now, COVID is sort of the biggest thing in our face, and we have a huge amount of need. We paid $70,000 in the past 9 weeks. That's a huge amount of money to both raise and distribute in a very fair, equitable, and legal and documented way, helping 69 families with about $1,000 each. And the reason we need so much more is that these families are going to be in isolation for much longer than everyone else, because they have children who have no immune system or compromised immune system. So we know the need is great. It's going to go on for quite a while. So we were hoping to raise 100,000 for this effort this year. And I just recently connected with John today, and he told me we're getting there. Our goal for this event is 20,000. And I don't know the exact numbers, but I know we're sort of within we can get there if we all dig in and give a little bit more. Claudia has given every single time I've asked in the past, however many years. How many years? 14? Yeah. But every penny of what you donate will be going straight to the families. We're not taking anything for expenses. We're not taking anything for salaries. 100% of donations that come through this are going straight to families. So I also just wanted to let people know you can reach out to me through lucyslovebus.org at any time. I hope you'll follow us on Facebook. If anyone is grieving, we have a monthly program called Yoga for the Tenderhearted, which is open to everyone. You just have to register through Facebook, our Facebook page. It's a beautiful program led by Sarah Olson, and she was Lucy's babysitter and now is on our board. But yeah, I think we're running low on time. I just wanted to share one thing. This is the last piece of artwork that Lucy made. It used to be this beautiful Japanese mobile. It's been since attacked many times by my animals. And I was shocked that I didn't freak out at them when I found it like this. It was like, you know what? Lou's gone. This is not Lucy, right? It was special, but hey, apparently cats thought it was fun. Lucy was so sick when she made this that she couldn't write. Her handwriting was too shaky. But so we made this little mobile thing, and it said, "Live life with love." And the second one says, "Let love in." I don't know if you can read that. So those are my messages from Lucy Grogan for everyone, that as we're going through all this suffering, to live life with love and to let love in. Man, it's as simple as that, right? And then my last little note of positivity is to end with a photo of Lucy stopping to smell the flowers. So Claudia, you see the marigold?
I do.
Remember how marigolds were her favorite flower at the end of her life?
I do remember that.
She knew every flower on the planet because I was a gardener. And at the end of her life, she said, "I like marigolds best." And I said, "Why?" "That's like sort of like loving a dandelion." And she said, "Mom," she's like, "I like the tough flowers. I don't like those wussy flowers." So this is the day she learned how to walk smelling a marigold. Anyway, I think we need to wrap up. It's 7:57. I love you, Claudia. I love all you other people out there listening and helping and loving and being here together in this beautiful space that John and Trisha and everyone else behind the scenes have created for us to just reconnect during a really disconnected time. So God bless.
Let love in. Amen.
All right, we'll see if they take us off of here. I don't know.
We'll see.
Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you, John, for all the hard work.
Oh my God, I'm just crying all evening here. It was so sweet to watch your guys' total love fest online. Thank you, Claudia, for your insightful and timely sharing of Ayurveda. I wish we had 2 hours for you. Next time we have 2 hours for you, Claudia. And Beecher, thank you for everything. You're sharing your heart, your beautiful, incredible story. And both of your relationship is inspiring. And, this is really what BlessFest is about. It's really not about a presenter on stage. It's not about, here's the presenter and here's the audience. And one of my concerns in doing a virtual festival was that it kind of exacerbates that situation, because everybody's an audience here and not able to connect with each other. And then there's this presenter. But what you guys just did so beautifully is you just brought us into the heart of blessing and what a blessing is presence. And thank you so much for both being here and for Beecher for manifesting your daughter's vision, for benefiting other children, other families. And BlessFest is honored to be able to contribute to this through this festival. And there's a poem here by Hafiz that I want to read after listening to you guys talk. Called Brings Life to a Field. It is not possible to complete yourself without sorrow. Sorrow is a vital ingredient that shapes the heart and enriches it. So endure sadness the best you can when its season comes. That rain that can fall from your eye brings life to a field. And on other days when you laugh, a sun takes birth in the sky, in a sky you will someday know. See how all the elements are inside of you. See how your soul is a shire of light. So I feel like the tears that you guys just shared and made many of us share does bring light to a field. Brings light to all our fields. Tears definitely can create new plants. So yeah, let's raise $20,000 for Lucy's Love Bus. We're probably about $10,000 away from that. So let's just go. And, if you can donate, please donate. You can see what a worthwhile, high integrity organization this is and how we couldn't give our money to a better cause at this time. So please feel free to donate by pressing the donate button below. I want to introduce our next artist. We're running late. We're running a little late, but that's okay. Blessings can run early. Blessings can run late. Blessings they don't really care that much about time. So either do we. So I have 3 artists I'm going to introduce now. So, yeah. So we have 3 artists we're going to introduce now. And that way, I can just come at the end and do a little closing. So first I want to invite my dear friend Steve Gorn to play some flute. He's just, as everybody knows, many of you know Steve, he's a master flute player. He's won a Grammy Award and he's been nominated 5 other times for Grammy Awards. He's a virtuoso, probably the finest flute player in the West, Monterey flute player in the West. Just unbelievable. And his roots are in jazz, and he plays with Paul Simon and Jack Janate and Paul Winter and many others, as well as kirtan artists across the globe. And his lyrical sweet flute brings healings and blessings and sacred sounds in their demanding contemporary lives. So we're so grateful to have the beautiful Steve Gorn join us. And then after Steve, we're going to rock it a little bit. Sri Kala Maharaj. He's so talented in so many directions. He could do so much. So I don't know what to expect from his set. He could chill us out in a super cool vibe, and he could rock us so we're all dancing like crazy maniacs in our living room, and our neighbors are going, "What's going on over there?" So, and he did send us a pre-recorded set, but I haven't had the chance to listen to anything. In fact, I've barely had the chance to sleep in the past 2 weeks. So I certainly haven't had the chance to listen to anybody's pre-recorded set they sent in. But Sri Kala is an international hip-hop MC, poet, singer, DJ, producer, and percussionist. Sri Kala combines original production with live vocals and percussion to move you on the dance floor and through the sounds of hip-hop, reggae, dub, world beats, and sacred mantras. Hari Om Sri Maharaj, coming to us from Los Angeles. And our last certainly not least artist from the West Coast. We have another Srikala's in LA and Jayu Tal is in Fairfax, California. We're so honored to have Jayu Tal be part of this virtual experience. Many of you, all of you probably know Jai. Jai grew up in New York City as a small boy, and his dad was a record producer. And his dad would come home, and his dad would like play. What do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this? So Jai was exposed to all this music when he was really young, like all this cool, burgeoning rock and roll and all this stuff. And so he got really turned on to music when he was young. He started playing all these instruments. I think piano. I think when he was young, and then Jai went to India when he was super young. He was 19. He went to India and he met Neem Karoli Baba when he was 19 years old. So let's just take that in for a minute. That's basically like meeting Jesus Christ when you're 19. It's like meeting one of the great, great saints that has walked this planet when you're 19. How cool is that? So that profoundly influenced his life and clearly sent his music in some of the deepest devotional direction one can imagine. He went on to create the Pagan Light Orchestra, and he was really doing chanting before anybody even knew what yoga was, for the most part, And now yoga's all hip, and everybody, what do you mean you don't do yoga? But back then, when Jai was doing this stuff, it was like, what? What's that? What's chanting? What's it? So he was really a trailblazer, and he's really a grandfather of chanting in this country, and has paved the way and led the way for so many, and has such a phenomenal voice. He's a multi-instrumentalist, and he studied with Ali Akbar Khan at the College of College of Music, College of Indian Music. I'm forgetting the name of it. In San Rafael there, Ali Akbar Khan School of Music. There's some other little title there, but anyway, he's just been around the world playing music for 50 years, creating an environment for people to open their hearts and voices. And we all know that when Jai sings, he has that magic ability to open our hearts and bring that sense of true bhakti into the room. So we're really grateful to have Jai with us too, to close us out this evening. So stick around. You're in for a treat. And Hari Om.